But then there are other videos which are tutorials and where I'm trying to give something back. And so what I'd like to know is, what would you like to see? Am I mixing it up too much? Hey, if you have watched my channel at all, you will probably recognize this tree just here, and which I have dubbed Treebeard or the Guardian. And do you know, I'm feeling at the moment like the unluckiest photographer in the world when it comes to light. This is at least my 5th attempt to photograph this tree, maybe my 6th now. And just the light just does not want to happen in autumn, well, at least it hasn't yet. And the canopy's starting to get pretty thin. There's still a bit there. We've definitely got good autumn colours in the leaves for the oak itself. I suppose I'm just getting a bit fussy. I want wet, but I want good light, and so I need it to rain in the day, really soak the canopy, the foliage, the bark of this tree, to draw out the colour in that, and then have some nice golden hour sunlight, just to warm it all up. Anyway, we haven't got that, so I'm back, and what I'm trying now is, I thought I might as well, while I'm here, attempt something. Is I'm trying different, well, I've got a different lens on to normal. I've got my 24 to 70, and I've tended to shoot this with my 24 to 200, and that's so that I can try from f4 at one end of the aperture scale up to f11, because I want to see what kind of effect that really has on the background here. I'm shooting at 50mm. This is a lovely lens, the 24 to 70. It's just so clear, so sharp. Anyway, I'm going to give that a go, and if there's any decent shots out of this, or anything sensible to say about these differences in apertures, particularly what sort of fall off we get in the background and how that adds to or detracts from the picture, then I'll come back and I'll let you know. Well, I'm back in the land of fungi, which was really always the plan today, and I found quite a nice little scene here. This one's not going to require the macro lens or the close-up lens, because, or filter, whatever we want to call it, because it's really quite a large fungi, this one. So let me introduce you to this fun guy. Aren't the dad jokes the best? Right. So, here we go. So just to give you an idea of scale, here's my finger, and I've set this up so that, firstly, compositionally, I've tried to balance it so that the trees in the background, let me show you on the screen here if I can. Right, okay, you can probably just about see here now. So I've got got it set up so that I've got quite a deliberately low exposure. I've underexposed for the background because there's quite a bit of sky in there between these two trees. So I've deliberately underexposed that, and then I've brought in a couple of lamps here and here just to light the actual subject itself, and so that really helps it to stand out from the background and control my light source. So I'm cross-lighting it, one from each side, as you can see, and hopefully that will give us a desired image. I'm also focus stacking this, and so if we go into the menu item here, we just go into focus shift and tell it how many shots we want to do. I've just said 20 because I don't want the far background in focus. I really just want the mushroom as far as the stem in focus. So I've put 20 shots, and I'm using a focus step width of just 2 on this particular shot, which I think is going to be enough. I want to check that before I disappear and move on to my next target. And so it'll take 20 shots, or up to 20 shots, and I've just made sure that the very front of it, as in this leading edge here, is where my focus is on to begin with. So there we go, relatively simple. And because I'm using my 24-70, it has autofocus enabled on it, so I don't have to do this job manually, which is great. Okay, if those shots are any good, then here's a shot. Well, it's always nice to get your first shot in the bag, and I think that's actually going to be quite a nice one, despite the fact that the light is rubbish today. It's really grey and flat. I have found a subject, but I'm wandering around looking for my next one, and I don't know, this isn't really great fungi territory. I think it's probably a little bit too out in the open, a bit too dry, so I'm going to head for a more wooded area, more enclosed area, where maybe it's a bit wetter, and see what I can find. So if I find anything decent, I'll catch up with you there. I know this area pretty well, and I've been up here a lot. There's a particular oak tree that we'll be coming up to soon that I have photographed a number of times. I did want to address today the subject of YouTube, really, because a few years ago, before I had something of a hiatus, a pause, so that I could do a degree, I suppose I was fairly commonly getting something like 3,000 views or something on YouTube. And when I finished my degree and tried to resurrect the channel, I found that it was a lot more difficult because there are a lot more channels. There are so many more people putting YouTube videos together. And which is fine. We all have the right to do that, and we all want to, a lot of us want to express ourselves in some way. But the thing is that there's a lot more competition. There's so many more people doing this kind of thing, and lots of people, with just a few hundred views, which is where my channel has generally been at the moment. And occasionally, I've done a particular video that, maybe it's taken me a lot of time to produce, maybe a 30-minute video on, how-to tutorial stuff, particularly on night sky, post-processing. And one in particular, I must have spent 3 days putting that together. And it's had about 100 views. And I've got to say, it's just depressing. And, it was for some fairly advanced techniques, and I thought, it just was not worth the effort. And this isn't to have a moan, because what I really don't want to do is produce videos that people don't want to see. Not of that sort anyway. There are some of the videos I put together because it's purely for my own enjoyment and to look back on at some point. But then there are other videos which are tutorials, and where I'm trying to give something back. And so what I'd like to know is, what would you like to see? What do you want to see on YouTube? Do you want tutorials? Do you just want the story of how I take pictures? It's that kind of stuff, that kind of question is What do you enjoy most about my channel? Is it just is it the countryside that I'm in? Do you want more B-roll? What is it that would make the channel more attractive? If you've got any ideas about that, I'd love to know. I'd love to know. I've got to say, this is one of my favourite parts of my little photography trips. I get to come out here in my little van and make myself cheese and ham toasty. What could be better? Lovely. So I've been up here a number of times, or passed by this within yards, but it's set down in the landscape and so it's kind of hidden. But I just happened to stray into this bit because I'm looking for fungi, and it might be a little gem in the right light. Yeah, rather nice. Anyway, I'm going to wander around it and see if I can find myself any fungi. Well, I suppose another issue really about channel content is, am I mixing it up too much? You know, I enjoy a number of genres of photography. I suppose my passion really has been the night sky stuff, and everything that goes with that, being out at or in places that are less accessible particularly, and at times that are really quite antisocial. And so quite often that has meant that I've needed to camp out in order to get images, and I really enjoy the wild camping actually. But it's a very different genre to something like I'm doing today, which is the macro stuff. And that's different again to ordinary landscape photography, which is different again to woodland photography. And so I enjoy all of those, but am I trying to pack too many genres into one channel? And I wonder particularly whether or not I ought to be separating out the astrophotography stuff from everything else, because that's so niche really. I'd be interested in your thoughts. Do you like the variety on the channel? Or is it a place you visit for one particular type of photography? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear. And if it turns out that actually there's enough of a view towards it, then I might consider setting up a completely separate channel for astro stuff. Let me know what you think. So that was a fun little incident I had just now. So I was sat by this pond just looking for fungi and stuff, and happened to notice a couple of quite large dragonflies flying around. And it kind of epitomizes what I've been talking about my channel. I like to photograph lots of different kinds of things, and so I couldn't resist it. I changed the lens out on the camera, switched into my kind of wildlife profile, and tried to photograph these things. I'm not a wildlife photographer, and although I got a couple of shots, they're not great. I did learn that trying to track a dragonfly is a completely useless thing to do. And so I just watched them for a while and realised that they would kind of skirt around the edges of the pond, and that there was a stump at the edge of the pond that they would keep returning to. So I set up next to that so that was in focus, and just waited for them, and did in the end get a couple of shots. And if any of those are any good, then I shall show you them. But I'm not sure I got anything really sharp. But to say, it just sort of epitomised what I was talking about, really, that I like to photograph lots of different things, and maybe that's too broad for the channel, and I ought to set up a separate astro photography channel. But let me know what you think. And before I go, I just want to do a little plug for my calendar, and just to say that 2025 calendars are still available. It's a mix of landscapes and nightscapes, and printed on really nice fine art paper, A3 sort of size, and with space to just write a little bit of stuff. But at the end of the year, you end up with 12 beautiful fine art prints that you could frame if you wanted to. So there you go, just a little plug for that. And if you're interested in that, head over to my website, which is nigelbaileyphotography.co.uk, and visit the little shop there. Great, thanks very much for watching, and short one this week, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.